There is a type of person most people have encountered at least once. They are warm to the people who need nothing from them, generous towards strangers they will never see again, charming in rooms where they hold no power and have nothing to lose. But the moment someone gets close, the moment someone needs them, depends on them or simply stays consistently, something in them shifts. The warmth becomes management, the generosity becomes transaction, and the kindness that seemed so genuine from a distance quietly reveals itself as something that only survives when it costs nothing. What you are watching when this happens is not cruelty. It is something more specific than that. It is a person who can only assign value to what they cannot fully possess. Think about what that actually looks like in your own life. The friend who drops everything for someone who barely calls them back, but takes for granted the one who has never once let them down. The person who pursues someone difficult, complex, and emotionally unavailable, while slowly becoming colder toward the one who is simply and quietly there. Here's where that pattern comes from. For some people, closeness was never a safe experience early in life. Through small moments and large ones, they learned that the people who were supposed to stay did not always stay, that needing someone made you exposed, that being fully wanted gave another person a kind of power over you. So the psyche builds a quiet, invisible wall. If I never let someone completely in, they cannot disappoint me from that close. If I keep people slightly uncertain of where they stand, I stay in control. And over time, that defense begins to look like selective respect. The person who is hard to reach becomes fascinating. The person who withholds becomes worth chasing. The person who shows up every time, who stays, who makes themselves genuinely available, starts to feel unremarkable, not because they are, but because somewhere deep in the emotional system this person learned that safety and intimacy cannot exist together in the same space. Psychology describes this as an avoidant relational pattern, and it does not always arrive wearing obvious signs. Sometimes it looks like someone fiercely loyal to people who barely return their calls, while quietly undervaluing the ones who have never once considered leaving. Sometimes it looks like someone who speaks beautifully about connection but builds conditions where real closeness always stays, just slightly out of reach. The painful truth for the people living inside these relationships is this: you did not lose their respect by becoming too available. You were always going to lose it the moment they felt certain of you. Because certainty for this kind of person is the beginning of invisibility. That is not something you can undo by pulling back. It is not something you earn by making yourself harder to find. The pattern lives inside them, not inside the distance between you. Understanding that changes something important. It removes the weight of the question, what did I do wrong? And replaces it with something much more useful. Is this a dynamic I want to keep living inside? Because the people who genuinely respect consistency, who see presence as something rare and worth protecting, who are not threatened by someone who stays, those people exist. And they are not drawn in by unavailability. They are relieved by someone who simply means what they say. Pathless mind, you were not too much. You were just too available for someone who had already decided that available means ordinary.